Did you know that even in single player, you are never alone in Rooms and Doors? Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be discussing all the lore that we can currently find in Rooms and Doors. There are a lot of hidden details and small things you might have missed that heavily add to the lore of this game. Before I talk about anything else, let's start from the beginning. Let's discuss and analyze the opening cutscene. Upon first opening the game, you will get this cutscene, and there's a lot to unpack here. Firstly, why are we going in a boat to the rooms? Who is our character? Why does our character even wanna go into the rooms? Unfortunately, there isn't enough evidence to determine who our character is, but we can answer the other two questions very easily. We know for a fact that the rooms mostly take place in the underworld, apart from the very first 100 rooms, and we know this due to the badge we get for getting a Gummilight, which implies that our character officially entered the underworld thanks to Charon. But who is Charon? Charon, in Greek mythology, is the ferryman responsible for transporting the dead across the river Acheron to the underworld. Souls who refused or simply couldn't pay risked wandering along the shores of the river for 100 years. This explains why we go in a boat into the rooms and why our character even wants to go there, as otherwise they would risk being lost in the Acheron River for a very long time. This also implies that our character is dead from the very beginning, and that the entities aren't killing us, but rather resetting our progress to prevent us from escaping and reaching A1000. The most attractive aspect of this cutscene is the quote at the very end. "Abandon all hope, you who enter. They yearn for what they fear for." Now, the first line of the quote isn't all that interesting. However, it's the second line that's caught my attention. I firmly believe that this line is referring to us, the player. I say this because it uses a very general pronoun, which is they, and because us players wish very strongly to play horror games that cause us fear. It refers to the fact that we enjoy things that make us scared, whether it be entities, monsters, experiences, or whole games, since it has been proven that we play games for the sake of the struggle, which is why we don't find easy games to be very fun. A commonly overlooked aspect in Rooms and Doors is the batteries. You may have picked way too many of these without knowing the following facts I'm going to tell you. Sit down because things are about to get interesting. You might wonder, what's so interesting about a battery? Quite a lot, actually. To begin with, when you reach A1000, you might notice that it doesn't say how many batteries you collected, but rather how many souls you collected. After learning this, I decided to look a little deep into the battery model, and I discovered this, what appears to be a skull face printed into the battery. This confirms my theory that batteries are souls the scanner is able to see emitting a green light upon detecting one, which matches with the fact that the scanner is able to see ghosts of dead players with a green highlight. The corpses of these souls would have melted by A60 and eventually cooled down and turned into shells, since we know that shell is a bunch of soulless corpses made of stone-like ash mashed together thanks to the death screen of shell. What about other entities? Well, since A120 and A200 don't melt you, but rather what it seems to be like rot your skin, it can form together to make a shell, which is maybe why shells aren't that common, since shell would need a lot of melted corpses to be able to be created, and because any remaining corpses that fail to form a shell would likely be consumed by void. Every soul of the corpses would be turned into batteries, although the reason and who does this is seemingly unknown currently, and there's not enough evidence to prove this. However, the spirits of said souls would be turned into Pevnas. Now, why do I say this? We know due to the Wrath charm's description that Pevnas are spirits. Pevnas appear to be searching for their soul since they are attracted to light and movement. This is because light means batteries, which are souls, and movement means people, which have souls. This is also evidenced by the fact that Pevnas aren't attracted to Gummilights since they don't use batteries to recharge. You might say that that is a contradiction since you need 10 batteries to make a Gummilight in the first place. And you are right. My best theory is that the souls in the Gummilight are trapped and it is either very hard to extract said souls or just straight up impossible. Additionally, the Voices is an entity that the players can encounter when too much text appears in game. We will assume the Voices is the souls since you can encounter it basically anywhere in the game, and this might be because every light source in Rooms and Doors requires batteries in some way. And since you are unable to drop a light source at the time this video comes out, you will always be carrying souls even if you don't know it. While on the topic of Pevna, I did a little bit more digging on the battery model of Rooms and Doors and found a number and Greek symbols. First, I looked deep into the numbers, but I wasn't able to figure out anything. I asked my good friend to help me decode the numbers to see if he was able to find anything interesting. And he was able to find out that the numbers had a hidden message. The numbers meant Pevna. After realizing this, I noticed that the face in the battery model looked a lot more than Pevna rather than A60. Everything was connected. This is yet another piece of evidence that confirms my previous theory. However, even though me and my friend tried our hardest to decode the Greek symbols, we just couldn't. So I encourage you guys to try to find the hidden message on screen right now. The guest characters. These were default avatars that you would get when you logged into Roblox as a guest. Said feature was added in September 26, 2008 and removed in October 2nd, 2017. Why am I telling you this? How is this related to Rooms and Doors? Well, you see, the guest characters seem to be very important to the lore of Rooms and Doors. I am saying this because they all try to help us in some way. Let's get the most obvious one out of the way first, shall we? The guest, my man, my guy. He is responsible for watching over our runs and giving us tips on how to survive the entities once we die to one of them, to try to prevent us from dying to the same entity again. He's in charge of doing everything in his power to help us find him, which means getting to A1000. Now, why does he do this, you may ask? Well, my only solid theory is that the guest may be some sort of god. You see, when Charon guided us to the underworld, the guest might have thought that our judgment and final decision were unfair, since gods are capable of rescuing the dead from the underworld, according to Greek mythology. So the guest decided to help us escape the underworld alongside the other guest characters. You might say that is impossible to escape the underworld in Greek mythology, and you would be partially right. Dionysus traveled through the underworld to rescue and revive Ariadne and Semele, who are both mortals that were capable of leaving the underworld. Now let's talk about the lesser known guest character that is able to be found in Rooms and Doors currently, Betty Bloxer, but we will refer to her as the female guest. Upon entering room A60, you will notice the female guest standing next to the table. That players are able to see the female guest. If you have any other charm that is not Envy, nothing else will happen. However, if you're on a solo run and you have the Envy charm equipped, she will talk to you in the same font and way that ghost warnings appear when you have the charm of Envy equipped, directly confirming that she is the one that warns us about entities when equipping the charm of Envy. Unfortunately, nothing else is known about the female guest, but it has been explicitly told in the update block in Rooms and Doors that her story will be expanded upon in a future update. Although something interesting I was able to notice is that the guest uses the old guest avatar, while the female guest uses the new avatar. The reason why might get revealed in a future update, since there's just not enough evidence to make a theory currently. As an additional fact, the graffiti image of A001 used in the Rooms and Doors page has the name Guests Have Been Here, which tells us that the guest characters are responsible for making the graffitis we see on multiple occasions in the game, although it isn't known if there's a specific guest character with this job or all of them do the graffiti. Now, we are getting to the last part of the video. Coincidentally, we'll talk about the end of the game, the loved, the desired A1000. We are going to get as much evidence as possible to explain what A1000 is, along with the scanner. Initially, I thought that A1000 was just a galaxy that separated the underworld from the overworld, and even though it does look like it, I couldn't find any evidence that proved it. That was until I realized that A1000 has the same particles as the rift from Roblox Doors. Now, why the sudden connection, you may ask, as even though Rooms and Doors came out before Doors, it still may tell us what A1000 really is. In case you didn't know, the rift particles have triangles, which mean that they are heavily connected to the celestials. And if we look closely at A1000, it has those same particles both the room's doors and in rooms and doors. It just can't be a coincidence. Even if these triangle particles don't mean that they are connected to the door celestials, at the very least, it tells us that it is connected to something divine. Based on this, we can theorize that A1000 may be a divine place that connects us to the guest and helps us escape the underworld. And this could also be evidence to prove that the guest is a god, since we have to go through a divine place to be able to get to him. The triangle particles in A1000 could also mean that there is a divine being near, or that A1000 is a divine place, which can still be used to theorize that the guest is a god. Finally, let's talk about the reward for reaching A1000. A scanner. There are some things we can't talk about. Firstly, let's talk about its unique qualities. A scanner is the only light source currently in rooms and doors that can display your health and stamina on its screen, which is weird to say the least. We will say that the scanner can do this due to the fact that it requires 4 batteries to use, since it needs 4 souls to actively check and change your health and stamina to be able to be displayed in the scanner. The scanner also has this weird feature since it was most likely created by the guest. We say this because the guest willingly gives us the scanner at the start of our runs as a reward for reaching A1000, and because it is found in the same place where the guest awaits for us. We could still theorize about the scanner, but there really isn't that much evidence to further explain the scanner. And with that out of the way, we finally reach the end of this video. This video was supposed to come out way earlier, but due to some personal problems and procrastination, it ended up getting delayed by a lot. And I mean a lot. Please like and subscribe, since it heavily encourages me to bring you guys more quality videos like this one, and not... yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will get to see you guys next time. Fuera!